I found this chest of drawers in somebody's waste pile, and I've been using it for a while, and it's useful to have where I have it, but I think I'm about tired of it being so rickety. I mean, it is cheap, and I think I'm going to rebuild this. Probably in the end, this chest is going to be just the only thing original to it is going to be the wood. We will see. Wow, this went apart way too easy to be worth a damn. In all honesty, the hardest part was getting that back off. The wood is rather thin. It's not even 3/4 inch. We got all these dowel holes and through holes and more holes. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill all these holes. In all honesty, I'm not even really sure why I'm going through all this effort to save this particular piece of furniture and rebuild it. But it is something to do. I kind of like having a chest of drawers where I had this, so I'm going to continue. So far, this is the only piece of wood I've added to this project. It's a piece of scrap I had sitting around anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. I wanted to make I guess a bottom shelf, or it might be a top shelf, who knows? I might make it as a top shelf. No, it's going to be a bottom shelf. So anyways, I wanted to make a shelf for stability mostly. And I had these two pieces here and here, and from the original bookcase or case, and I just wanted to make a solid panel out of it. So I milled down this piece from a regular 3/4 inch. It's more like it's really more like 1/2 inch in reality. It's a lot thinner than a 3/4 inch board. And I ended up with this piece of veneer. That's kind of cool. So, so that plus the thickness of the blade is the difference between the wood that came from IKEA and normal stock. Alright, the back is on. I just use pin nails, some glue. The glue is not going to be a problem. You don't have to worry about wooden expansion unless you're using solid wood. The sides are solid wood, but the backing is hardboard, and so it's not going to be a problem. Son of a gun. Now I did a second break in as many weeks. I really like this miter gauge that I have, but this aluminum miter gauge is really gonna piss me off. Now that's another $100. Alright, that really kind of stinks, but that was my last spare cartridge. I've gone through 2 in 2 weeks. I guess I need to be a little bit more present when I'm working. It could have been my fingers, so that's good news. But the only cartridge I have left is a dado cartridge, so I'm just going to be super careful because I don't want to blow this dado cartridge out too. So I'm using the original miter gauge from the saw with the wood extension instead of the aluminum. I think when I do bevels from now on, I'm not going to use that other gauge. And so I'm going to continue my cuts, but carefully. I'm not normally a big fan of biscuit joinery, but I wanted a little bit more strength than just a miter cut. And yeah, I know they say that biscuits don't add any strength. I disagree. It does add a little bit. It's gonna have some strength to it, but it's not like I'll be able to jump and down on the joint, but it will add a little extra strength. So that's the biscuits joints cut, and then this piece is going to just fit butt up on like this. After making my pocket holes, I went ahead and drilled a larger hole in the end of the pocket hole for dealing with wood expansion. There's not going to be much wood expansion, honestly. This is small enough that it'll be less than the 16th of an inch in all honesty, most likely. So that should be more than plenty. Before I start the drawers, there's one more thing I want to do, and that is I need to make a relief cut around here, because on my table saw I have a pedal that's for the wheels to move it out. So that sticks out, but it's going to stick below the bottom drawer, so it's not going to be a problem. So I need to mark out for where that relief cut's going to be. This is a tool I don't use very often. It's one of those tools that I bought because I thought I needed, and then I found out I really didn't. There's a bunch of other ways I can do this. I could use a jigsaw, but I'm going to use the multi-tool. Wow, I'm not having a really good week, I don't think. So the cutout worked just fine for the pedal, but I cut way too much. You know, I was planning on putting it in further, and even then I still cut too much. but I forgot about the control box that was in the way, so it's really not that big of a deal, I don't think. It sticks out about 2 inches, 2.5 inches more than it really should. So, but what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to do something to give some better support. That should do the trick just nicely. 2 braces right here. That way, since this is so thin, it's going to be liable to break. So that adds the strength I want to add. I think it's going to be just fine. Off camera, I chamfered the edge of the side that I cut shorter, and I also drilled new holes for the breakout hardware. I know that the holes for the drawer pulls are going to be in the wrong location now. They're going to be off by, I think it works out to be 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch, but you know what? Nobody's going to ever notice that little bit, and it's shop furniture, who cares? So now what I'm going to do is, in each one of the breakout hardware holes, I'm going to put a little touch of super glue, and not very much. And the idea being that the super glue will soak in and give extra strength to the wood so that the breakout hardware doesn't strip. I was noticing when I was pulling it out, some of these holes were pretty close to being stripped. On the back of the drawer, I decided I didn't like the nylon plugs that they had, and since I shortened them, I would have had to drill new ones. So I decided to do for the back of the drawer a different joint, and that is this joint right here. I've used this joint before, specifically in my router table build, and what it is that the distance from, let's see if I can find a pointer here, really, a pencil, there you go, from this edge to the outside is the width of the mating board. Okay, so this edge on the inside to here is the width of the mating board. The distance from this edge to this edge and this edge to this edge is equally distant. That is half that width, obviously. So then what you do is I cut this dado, and then I cut a rabbet on the mating board, and this to here matches this to here. Now this cut is made on the inside and this cut is made on the outside. So then when I put the whole thing together, it fits in nicely and makes a pretty strong joint, and doesn't interfere with the groove for the bottom. So what we will do, and what happens is, since this is the back of the board and this is the side, when you pull, if it binds, it's still going to pull the back. Otherwise, let's say this was the back and this was the side, and you pull and it bind, then it would just pull it out. Of course, there's going to be glue, and there's probably going to be pin nails too, but that's how this works. To install the drawer runners, what I'm doing is I went ahead and did one to prove the concept, and it worked just fine. I put a spacer from the front of the drawer, And then what I'm doing is I'm taking the next drawer and put it on top of that spacer and then marking the bottom. It's important to make sure these rails are the same on either side. So what I did was I cut I guess in a way it's a story stick to determine where the rail is going to be. And then I can just put the rail up to there and glue it into place. And then do the other side and they'll be identical. Currently there's nothing in the bottom drawer, but in the second drawer I have some welding supplies. Top drawer I have my table saw supplies. And then here you can see how that's the idea that this slides out so that I can get to the stuff in the back.
Finally, just remember, after every woodworking project, you should always count your fingers. You end with 10, good job.